What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about something I love to talk about on this channel, a Shudder original film. This is a film that was put out on the Shudder streaming service recently, and I love Shudder. They give artists a platform that don't often normally get it to create amazing horror content. And the film I'm going to be talking about today is an anthology horror film from a first-time director who is also, I believe, the lead vocalist of the band Power Man 5000, Spider-1, and this is his first attempt to create a horror film, and I'll look forward to talking about it in the review. Allegoria is directed by Spider-1. A group of artists' lives become unwittingly entangled as their obsessions and insecurities manifest monsters, demons, and death. I want to start by saying, obviously, this is Spider-1's first attempt at making a film, and a horror film in general, and this is clearly done by a person who has a passion for horror, who loves the genre, and I really appreciate that about this film. There's a lot of moments throughout this anthology of shorts that really show how much this person is passionate about the genre. And I love anthology horror films. I'm a sucker for these types of movies. I'm a big fan of the first two VHS films. I also love the movie Southbound. There's a lot of really great anthology horror films that I think are 100% worth watching, and this movie was pretty good. There are a lot of really solid moments in it. I don't think there's anything in it really worth like trashing. I mean, like I said, it's done by someone who has a passion for the genre. It just doesn't always gel. Everything doesn't really mesh together 100%, and I feel like some of the segments are not as strong as some of the other segments. So the film opens with this like acting class where you have this crazy instructor who's touting off about all these ideas that he has about art and artistic vision, and you have these people in the acting class, and he like tells them to like act like a monster, and one of them actually ends up turning into a monster, and that's what segues into the different segments of the film. And there are some really standout segments in this. There's this one I really loved of this guy who was like typing out a horror story that the character he was typing up came to life, and I thought that was entertaining. There was a really unique one about this couple who was going on a date where this woman was into this weird like artistry that she was showing her Polaroids of to this guy, and this whole idea of what is art to this person. And I think that was my favorite part of this film, was the conversation that kind of was the through line throughout of like, what is art? How do people perceive art? What is art to different people? Like, what happens when it comes to pretension in art? And I loved all of those different conversations. But it's like I said before, I feel like the problem that I have with this is that each segment didn't have like a title card sequence or like a way for you to know where you're jumping from segment to segment. And some of them felt kind of just like, okay, we need to have multiple segments in this film. Let's put another one in there, that weren't as memorable. Like one of the first segments in the film is this guy doing this painting, and he has this kind of heated conversation with a girl on the phone that ties into something a little bit later in the film, which was cool as like a through line, but as a segment on its own, it didn't really resonate as heavy as, like I said, the one of the guy who was typing the story up about the mass murderer, which I thought was really entertaining. The closing segment that kind of ties the film together was probably one of the stronger segments, when it was surrounding the friend and not the girl who was in the acting class. All that stuff with her and her bandmates was really interesting, and I liked the conversation and the dialogue between them. I didn't feel like it really stuck the landing for me as far as when the girl who is in the acting class at the beginning of the film, the whole story that they kind of expositionally dump to you about what's going on. And I understand you have a really limited amount of time to kind of convey this information and get it to the audience. It just didn't stick the landing for me as hard as I wish that it would have, and that's my problem with the whole film, is it didn't like stick with me as hard as I wanted it to, although there were those moments throughout it that I felt like were strong enough to make the film enjoyable enough to watch. And sometimes you just want to watch an anthology horror film. I like the whole idea of creating these little vignettes and having you in these worlds for a short amount of time, rather than, you know, there's a lot of filmmakers now who will take a concept that feels like it would be good for a short horror film and try to draw it out longer to make a feature-length movie, and it doesn't always need to be like that. I feel like there's so many films that could be condensed down, and I really have respect for Spider-1 for trying to create this world of all these tiny little vignettes, and like I said, there's some really great moments. I think the cinematography is pretty decent for a film shot on clearly a lower budget. I have a lot of respect for the practical effects in this film. There's a lot of moments where it looks really good, and there's a lot of neat creature effects and kill effects and things that I had a fondness for. The one segment where Krsy artist girl was involved, that visual wasn't the greatest or the strongest in the film. I get what Spider-1 was going for in that certain circumstance, but it just didn't hit me as hard. It was kind of like, it looked a little too cheap. But the rest of the film, especially that monster, the first act monster, and then the monster in the segment with the painter, was really great. I thought that those were so visually interesting and they looked fantastic. And I enjoyed myself through the majority of the very short runtime of this film. I believe it's like an hour and 7 minutes long. It's not super long, it's a really quick watch, and I definitely think it's a movie that's worth checking out and forming your own opinion on. I love, like I said, that Shudder gives these artists the ability to create these films, put them out there into the world, and this was one that I did enjoy. I just had some problems with it. So have you seen Allegoria? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really entertaining. I didn't think it was perfect. I thought that it had its moments that were really engaging and fun, but it wasn't 100% the best movie I've seen all year or anything. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot. It lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always looking for new material to review, so leave me a recommendation of something you'd like me to watch. Is there a movie on Shudder you've seen recently you'd like me to see? There's so much out there I still need to check out, and I'm excited to get new material out for you in the future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.